Friends, I'm Pastor Ben Hayes from First Baptist Church, Dadeville, Alabama, bringing you our thought for the day. On this Wednesday morning, we got a lot going on today. 10 o'clock, our Bible studies for men and women. All are invited to come and join us for that. At 2 o'clock this afternoon, we're hosting the funeral for Tyler Colvin, one of our 2023 high school graduates here in Dadeville. And just pray for that family, if you would. Pray for us as we minister to them. And then, of course, this evening, 5 o'clock, our family night suppers, 5:45, the Adventure Club, 6 o'clock, prayer meeting Bible study, along with handbell practice, and 7 o'clock choir practice. A lot going on today, so come and join us for all of that. Right now, we're in Romans chapter 3, verse 1. And this is where we start getting into a lot of the things that Paul wants to say to us about our relationship with Christ and our relationship with the nation of Israel. Okay? And this is a big deal. I told you yesterday, the nation of Israel is still God's chosen people. He's still got a plan. Paul tells us that. And book of Revelation even shows us what God is going to be doing in the nation of Israel in the future. But for us, how do we connect? Where do we fit in? Well, look what he says. Verse 1, what advantage then has the Jew, or what is the profit of circumcision? Now, just remember what Paul has just talked about. He said, now, circumcision of the flesh is not where it's at. It's circumcision of the heart. Because there are a lot of people who were circumcised in the flesh that never truly committed themselves to Christ, never truly believed that God was doing anything amazing, and continued to live their own way. See, outwards, appearance, external actions are not what determine our salvation. Now, when we're saved, we live a certain way because we strive to be holy as God is holy, because we strive to follow His commands, because we love Him, not because we're scared of losing our salvation, but because we love Him, and to love God is to obey God. And that's key here. So Paul says, what advantage is the profit of circumcision? Then he says, much in every way. Why? He says, chiefly because to them were committed the oracles of God. Now think about what he's talking about here. When God created the nation of Israel through Abram and his descendants, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, He made a covenant with them, the old covenant. That old covenant said, I will be your God if you will be my people. He said, I will always be with you. And understand something. God has never broken a promise. Now, there have been times throughout the history of Israel where they have turned their back on God. They rebelled against God, and God judged them. God brought discipline upon them and sent them out of their land. In fact, the nation of Israel, the 10 northern tribes, 721 BC, Judah and Benjamin, 587 BC, they were taken out of their homeland. They came back to Judah in 400 and something BC, and for 400 years, God gave them another chance. Guess what they did? They turned their back on God again. So the Romans came in and totally destroyed Jerusalem, totally annihilated the country of Israel, and they ceased to exist until 1948. And now, because everything is coming to a head and God's redemptive plan is coming to its fruition, and will do so through the nation of Israel, understand that Israel now exists again, and because of that, we can see that the end is near. Jesus made that statement. He said, when the fig tree blooms, and that's a reference to the nation of Israel, you can know that that generation will not pass away before Christ returns. So I'm expecting that in the very near future. God gave to Israel that wonderful law of Moses, the prophets that taught them how to live their lives, and through them came the Messiah, Jesus Christ Himself. They were committed, it was committed to them, the oracles of God, the very words of God. So they are still blessing us here in the 21st century. Now look what he says, for what if some did not believe? Will their unbelief make the faithfulness of God without effect? Certainly not. You know what he's saying? Just because they've turned their back on God, God hasn't turned His back on them. God has always been and will always be faithful. He will always keep His promises. I mentioned this yesterday. We get over to Romans 10 and 11, what we will see is that God still has a plan for the nation of Israel. One day all Israel will be saved. Not all Jewish people, those who have passed without knowing Christ, will not be saved. But one day all Israel will come to the understanding that Jesus was and is the Messiah, and they will turn to him in faith. And what a wonderful day that will be. But right now, just think about this. Think about this. Have you trusted in Jesus? Doesn't matter what the people of Israel have done. Doesn't matter what the Jewish people have done. What about you? Are you ready when Jesus returns or calls you home? Think about that today. Be blessed, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.